Arte Moreno said he's open to selling the team. And over the last month, I have declared this place baseball hell. In fact, over the last decade, you could declare it baseball hell. The Angels are just not a fun franchise, and I've bemoaned them for their inability to win while having two legendary historic players on their roster. And it's like looking up to the skies and seeing that there is a just God. What do you think when you heard that Moreno is open to selling the Los Angeles Angels?
I was a little bit surprised just because if I had to like pin down a baseball team that would have been up for sale, I wouldn't have guessed it would be the owner who's like the most meddlesome in baseball, or the guy who's the most involved in day-to-day operations would want to step away from the team. I would have thought that maybe he passes it down. I don't know how many children he has or what his living situation is, but I would have thought that he wouldn't have been the one to pass it down given how active he is. It was kind of surprising, like with the Wilpons when they sold the Mets to Steve Cohen a few years ago, where it's like, the reason this is happening is because they lost all their money in the Bernie Madoff scandal. So like that one made some sense. But this one is just like, this is a very front-facing owner. This is someone who has power within the league. He's very active in running his team. I was kind of surprised that he would be the one who would sell his team prior to, like, I don't know, the Pirates guy who people have been clamoring for him to sell the team for years. Like, I'm just surprised it would be Arte Moreno.
Do you think he's somewhat of a self-aware James Dolan in the sense he knows, in a way, he's dragged down this organization for years, and he finally just called it quits? He finally was aware enough to say that maybe I'm just not a good baseball owner.
Maybe. I'm sure he's looking at the good business deal he can get from this, especially given the fact that the Angels are in a stadium dispute right now with the city of Los Angeles, and it's been very confusing. I don't have all the details to it. I just have been following it vaguely over the past few months, but I don't know how much that played into deciding to sell. I'm sure he has his reasons for wanting to sell besides being a terrible owner and running one of the worst baseball teams in all of baseball.
Well, everyone and their mother is tweeting at him or mentioning him in scorn anytime we talk about the Los Angeles Angels and why they struggle and their struggles as a franchise. So I'm sure on a human level, that has to get to you at some point. In terms of the better business deal, yeah, when he does sell this team, that's going to be a big time payday. We're talking about a baseball franchise in Southern California. That will definitely sell very easily. Even if they don't end up staying in Anaheim, Orange County, Los Angeles, whatever you want to call it, because we know that baseball is very much open to the possibility of moving organizations around. Getting into the business of sports ownership is a very lucrative business right now. I know that the owners try to say that their profit margins weren't great when we're talking about the CBA negotiation, but still you are making profits on $1 billion industry. So it can't be all that bad.
Considering that the Angels also, according to Axios, are the 8th most valuable MLB franchise at the time, and their performance would not suggest that they would be the 8th most valuable baseball team.
And if you acquire this team right now, let's say he sells at the end of the year, then you're getting an organization, you're getting a team that does have, again, probably two of the greatest hitters of their generations and pitchers of their generation in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. So this would be a great time to buy them. If you're a prospective owner with any kind of foresight or any kind of chutzpah in putting this team together, then you are excited at the possibility of having Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani as your building blocks on your team. If you're trying to think about a team that you want to build into a serious contender, then this is as good as it could possibly get. And of course, that's going to come down to your hiring decisions, your firing decisions, because clearly over the last 20 years, Moreno wasn't doing a lot of great firing decisions. And that's what's led to the malaise in the Angels organization, why they haven't been able to do anything since that World Series run with Mike Scioscia. I guess they've had a 90-win season mixed in there a time or two, but still, to consider that Mike Trout's entire playoff resume boils down to 3 games, and all 3 of them were losses, tells you just how bad this organization has really fallen into. They're really a poverty franchise, despite being the 8th most valuable.
Combined with the fact that Arte Moreno hires agreeable people. He hires people who he can tell what to do and they will do it. And obviously, everyone who's hired their boss will say things and you might have to do it, even if you think it's not the greatest move. The good bosses or the good leaders have the foresight to trust the people they've hired to put in positions of power. And Arte Moreno's like, I want to be shadow GM. I want to be person who runs the Angels and also owns the team. And that's part of his thing. So I think that leads to the Angels having a generational star in 2 consecutive generations now, and yet they have the 4th longest playoff drought in all of baseball, which has been highlighted a lot before. Obviously, they're going to go 16 years of Pujols contract right into Rendon contract, which is looking like 2 of the worst in baseball. And presumably, if they sell the team before the winter meetings this year, which I assume is like baseball's preferred timeline, then perhaps Shohei Ohtani gets a giant extension, or perhaps Shohei Ohtani gets traded. Who knows how that plays into the conversations we've had before about that situation.
Do you think there was any internal pressure by Major League Baseball? Because they have to know. You have to hear the whispers.
I don't know how popular or not popular Arte Moreno is within Major League Baseball circles. So
I'm sure Rob Manfred and the other 29 owners want that organization to be a good, well-run organization in the same way that the NBA wants the New York Knicks to be a functional organization. You want your 2 major media markets in Los Angeles and New York to have good teams in them. And while obviously we've had good players, the Angels have been one of the most dysfunctional. So I'm sure that, I don't know if they'd say it to his face. I don't know if they would say it in a closed door meeting, but if you asked Rob Manfred over some drinks, which owner would he probably want to just boot out of the league? I kind of feel like Arte Moreno would be on that short list.
I don't know, because famously Arte Moreno was one of those people who was what we call Bud Selig's guys. And the way Bud Selig used to run baseball is like, if you were one of the people who was his buddies and had his ear, he would do what you wanted. This was famous Jerry Reinsdorf thing where like anything Jerry Reinsdorf said went with Bud Selig. So Jerry Reinsdorf had all this power.
But
and
at a
Arte
certain
Moreno
point,
was one of those
doesn't
people.
your talent have to outweigh your problems? And clearly, in terms of being a baseball owner, Arte Moreno doesn't seem to be that talented from my perspective.
This is correct. And Rob from what I've heard, I'm not with inside sources, but from what I've heard, Rob Manfred doesn't have like people who he like listens to or agrees with compared to Bud Selig. But one of the famous examples is I keep bringing up the Pirates, which I think is baseball hell. Bob Nutting is he's the owner of the Pirates. He's just a well-liked guy. He's just a very kind man who people within the owner's circles like. So all that to say, I don't know what the opinion of Arte Moreno was. I'm sure everyone wants the Angels to be successful, but I'm sure they also like the fact that Arte Moreno never spent over $175 million in his entire time as Angels owner.
Again, where my difference is on calling the Angels baseball hell as opposed to the Pittsburgh Pirates is the Pirates are just pain. They know nothing but pain. But the Angels are an ironic sense of pain because, well, you can have, again, 2 generational hitters in your lineup on your roster and never attain any kind of postseason glory. That is being on the treadmill. That's just being stuck in that hamster wheel. That's what the Angels are. That's why I call them baseball hell.
And I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that fact.
Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments below. Are you relieved? Are you happy to hear it? Baseball fans rejoice. Arte Moreno is finally giving up his team. I want to see some celebrations. I want to see some fireworks in the comments below. Leave a like on this video because it helps the channel. Hit that subscribe button because it really helps the channel. And other than that, from Juju Talk Sports, I kind of better stay safe, happy, and healthy. We will see you next time.